If you think about it, we're just all monkey in shoes. If you think a little bit deeper, you start to wonder why at the meeting between Trump and Putin got you jump out of the couch and reach for the computer. Last week, I wonder when will the next juicy international gossip gonna happen and what will it be about? Last night, I went to bed thinking there is a solid chance that a nuclear war could occur during my sleep. I could have woken up in the ruin of half of my bed or just gone like the wind before getting back consciousness. Because as around 9:35 p.m. European time on the 15th of August, Trump and Putin got a date with each other. Every handshake, every glance, every word carry weight, the kind of weight that could end war or start new ones. That's why you, me, your neighbor, and even the highly respectable news anchor on TikTok, the perfect irony, funny, cute guy that talk about news are all secretly refreshing their feeds. Some wonder if Trump will handle Putin the way he handles Zelensky, sharp, transactional, leaving people shocked of how fast the headline can spiral. Other whisper about the unthinkable. Could this be the moment tender tension tip? The point where World War III jumped from speculation into reality. I live at the border, it's kind of annoying. But beyond the fear and the speculation, there are something magnetic here. Because when two men who dominate entire nations sit across one in another, and they know the entire world is watching, it's a theater, and the audience eyes are glued to the scene. We say that we are serious, that we are analyzing politics and strategy, but let's be honest, we're here for the drama of watching Trump's unpredictable ability collide with Putin, icy control composer. It's international gossip at its finest, and it's feel almost unreal that it's happening right now. Last night, August the 15th. 9:35 p.m. European time. They're sitting in a room in Alaska, the land that Russia once sold to America. And according to many of my Russian friends, it's a stupid move. Surrounding by jet and camera, and we left here asking, what being said behind the closed door? Are they cutting deals, bluffing, making history, or just sizing each other up like two chess players who already know the next 20 moves? You are listening to What Happened on the Internet on the Daily Avocado Podcast. I'm your host, the one and only me. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you found your way into this chaotic corner of the internet. Here we gossip about the gossip. I do international gossip, politics, national gossip, real crime stories, celebrity gossip. If you have a juicy local gossip in your area that's about to go viral, let me know. I will cover that too. If you've been here before, welcome back. Pour yourself a tea and thank you for the continued support. As usual, I have to mention that English is not my first language. I'm not trying to make it harder for you to understand me on purpose. In fact, I will try my best to go slower and clear. However, my capacity to control my tone is inverse proportional with my emotional response to the subject. And I'm a very emotional person. That is to say, thank you for your patience and understanding. Now, with all that declaration, let's get into the story. Let's talk about one of the main characters in tonight's global drama, Donald Trump, President Trump, the one and only Orange Trump.
Billions and 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 billions.
Born in Queens in 1946, he didn't just fall into politics, he bulldozed his way into it. He graduated from the Wharton School in UPenn, hijacked his dad's real estate company in the 70s, and rebranded as the Trump Organization. From there, he collected skyscraper, casino, and gold score like Pokemon's car. And suddenly, he wasn't just a tycoon. He was a brand, a gigantic neon logo of Trump that glowed so bright, even your grandma in the kitchen could hear it. Fast forward, he became the 45th president in 2017, survived impeachment twice, lost one in 2020, but rebounds with a vengeance to become the 47th president of 2025. It's really hard to ignore the plot twist. Alongside with other things, he was assassinated at least once. Online, Trump is both superhero and supervillain. His fans see him as a brilliant deal maker, a spoiler of political correctness, and the only guy who can tell it like it is. His granted see something else entirely. Accusation of corruption, authoritarian turns, and media manipulation by a reality TV era playbook. It's like watching a TV show where half the audience cheers and the other half burn popcorn in protest. Supporters love the CEO of America vibe, dropping executive order like hotbits, might drop the tariff, the tax thing, and running the government like a flashy boardroom. Critics see the same behavior and call it insanity. Warning is the risky strain of management, less democracy, more branding, more chaos potential. Meanwhile, the internet is aflame. Trump supporter junk out AI-generated picture showing him hugging black voter like it feel-good ad, while opponent push hashtag such as 8647 translation is called for get rid of the 47th. A phrase that went really viral. Trump is always performance ready. He's walked into a room and something happened. Either a deal get made, camera go wide, or lie get crushed. Now, he's in the room with Putin, who's supposed to be his arch enemy. Given the history between the two countries, it's not just about two men, it's about two systems that have been staring each other down for generations. Capitalism versus communism. Democracy versus authoritarianism. Locked in a tug of war so old is basically muscle memory at this point. America and Russia may not be throwing punch in the ring tonight, but every handshake, every word exchange is heavy with that history. And that's why this meeting feels bigger than politics. It's like watching Batman sit down with the Joker, Superman sliding a chair across the table to Lex Luthor, except you don't know who's whose. You know that they smile for the camera, you know that they speak politely, but you also know your own citizen little fate depends heavily on the outcome of this meeting. Speaking from the point of a stock buyer, I pray for everything to go well. Okay, let's talk about Putin. Putin comes from a pretty normal family. Later, he joined the Soviet equivalent of the CIA, the KGB. His job, there's intelligent in the name, so he is intelligent by the job title. His job was to figure out who is the spy, who was slipping in and out of the country, and what they was really doing there, what are their purpose. In the late 1980s, he was stationed in East Germany when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. And the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991. He packed his bag and went back to Russia. He lost a job, no more job. country free. Back home, he became the right man of the mayor of a small town. Somehow that role put him in the orbit of Russian president at the time. The connection was never clear. Maybe they had a single chat in the bar. Maybe they have worked together. Putin have helped him save his life. I don't know. But when the president announced his step down, he recommended Putin as his replacement. And as is by magic that the history go, Putin won the selection. And when he took power in 2000, Russia was in absolute chaos. This guy introduced him a job, but it's like the biggest job of the entire humankind. Leave him a gigantic mess of a country. The Soviet collapse had left the country scarred, poor, and unstable. Every single sector department was just beep. Putin promised this would be the new Russia. In 2000, Putin think, okay, I gotta do something. And to everyone's surprise, he was excellent at his job. Within a year, the economy wasn't just rising during these years. The economy wasn't just rising upward, it was skyrocketing. The trade flow, business flourished, the Russian even become friendly with Europe. For a moment, it looked like the country was finally blooming. But then come 2008, Georgia went to war and Putin got a call for help from one side. He thought everything at home is stable, so why not lend a hand? Or maybe he on a blood promise to one of the side in Georgia. One thing led to another, and suddenly Russia force was sent across the border. That was exactly the moment Americans have been waiting for. The US slammed Russia with bad press, called him the neighborhood bully, rallied with Europe, and unleashed sanctions. Overnight, Putin Russia was cast into the villain of every Western movie, trying to rebuild the image. Russia hosted the 2018 World Cup. The spectacle was massive, but it came at a cost. Stadium shy while ordinary Russian wallet drained. Putin still showed up to pat players on the back like a proud father, but beneath the celebration, the country was stretched thin. And they did blame him. Then come a bigger stuff, Ukraine. In 2014, Ukraine started dripping westward, closer to Europe, closer to NATO. For Putin, that was like watching your neighbor invite your enemy to move in. Russian moved fast, soldier without insignias. The little green man took over Crimea. Within weeks, the map of Europe had changed. The West responded with fury. Sanction piled higher, and Russia's reputation darker ever more. Now, Moscow wasn't just a bad neighbor. It was a full-on movie villain. Every cyber attack was Russian. Every spy headline pointed to the Kremlin. And then in 2022, Putin doubled down. He called it a special military operation. The world called it war. He turned into rubble million fleet. The global economy shook. Every price soared. Food supply crumbled. Inflation spread. By 2025, Putin is still in power. He's no longer the smiling World Cup host trying to shake hands with Europe. He's the hardened chess player moving peace against the entire Europe ally. Inside Russia, he tightened his grips. Opposition silent, media control, political lockdown, order outside. He remained the most controversial leader alive, hated by many, admired by some, feared by all. The man who once blended into the shadow of the low-level KGB officer is now impossible to ignore, whether seen as a symbol of strength or destruction. Putin is still at the table, and the game is far from over. For someone who had built his career on the reputation of steel, Putin had an oddly funny cute side that the internet just cannot stop noticing. The man who moved tanks on the map also have a habit of showing up to diplomatic meeting with a bouquet of flowers whenever his guest is a woman. It's such a consistent move that you couldn't help but see him as the guy that lived by the gentleman code. No excuse. And then there's the legendary meeting with Kim Jong-un where the two of them raise their glass for the toast, And of course, the meme, endless stream of AI generated picture of him and his various kind of weird moments, hugging puppies, fishing shirtless. The internet had turned him into an accidental action figure, a plan of James Bond and a dad on vacation. Even the most serious headline cannot stop us, the internet troll. It's the same paradox Trump carries just through a different lens. To some, Putin is Russia savior. To others, he's Russia cage. And the duality makes him just a magnetic online as for Trump. Every photo, every quote, every smirk become a symbol. Half the world cheers and the other half just hate. So here they are, Trump and Putin, two leaders who couldn't roll off more differently. Yet both become icon, love and hate in equal measure, each with an image larger than life. And this isn't the first time Trump and Putin have shaken hands across the polished table before. They met before. Most recently, back in Helsinki, 2018, when Trump was in his first term and Putin had already been ruling Russia for nearly 2 decades. Back then, the power dynamic looked different. Trump was a newcomer on the world stage, the outsider president proving he could spark with the old guard. Putin, on the other hand, was the seasoned strongman, the one who already outlasted Clinton, Bush, and Obama. And when they stood side by side at that time, it felt almost like student and master. Trump still building his global muscle, Putin flexing his longevity. Fast forward to today, August 2025, and the board has changed. Trump is no longer the rookie. He's the comeback president, returned to the White House with even more confidence and fewer hesitation. Putin, still firmly in command of Russia, faced a war in Ukraine that had drained resources, reshaped, aligned, and put his global strategy under a microscope. So when they meet now, it's not rookie versus veteran. It's heavyweight versus heavyweight. Two men with enough influence to red raw map, crash market, or ignite headline with a single sentence. And what does the world think their motive are? From the US side, people say Trump wants to broker with no one else have managed a ceasefire in Ukraine. He hinted that he's willing to pressure both sides, even threatened to walk away if he didn't get the result. His support called it genius negotiation. His created fear is reckless manship. Either way, the message is clear. Trump wants to stamp his name on the history as the man who ended the war. From the Russian side, the motivation looked different. Analysts argue Putin is here to secure recognition to his territorial gain in Ukraine, to freeze NATO out of the conversation, and to remind the world that Russia is still set the tone in its backyard. Some say it's about leverage, others about pride, but all agree that Putin's goal is to come out of this meeting looking unchecked, unstraightened, and in the face of Western pressure. So why are they meeting? Because history put both of them into the position where they need to meet each other. Trump with his promise of peace and Putin with his demand for recognition. The world isn't just watching the world. It's watching to see if these two turn partner for a day will strike a deal that reshape the global order, or if it's all just theater. Even before the first handshake, the gossip wasn't just about Trump and Putin would say. It was about when they would actually say it. Because if there's one thing Putin is famous for, besides the riding horse shirtlet, is making world leader wait. The Pope sat around for almost an hour. Queen Elizabeth waited a solid 16 minutes in Buckingham Palace. Trump himself left hanging in Helsinki back in 2018 for 45 minutes. And the reason that he gave to the world is that he couldn't pull himself away from a judo match. Power move or just terrible time management depend on where you stand. So when Alaska rolled around, the internet was already praising itself. Was Trump about to be tested too? Commentators argue every extra minute of waiting is Putin's way to score an incredible point. A subtle reminder of who controls the tempo. Others laugh it off as it's a punctuality problem. Like your friend who called on the way when they haven't even left the house yet. But one thing was clear: the suspension over his timing was already become part of the show. And while the leaders settle in, the world tuned in literally. So what actually happened in a meeting today? Well, here's the thing. The door shut at 11:32 a.m. in Alaska, which is 9:32 p.m. in Europe, and silent. No press leak yet, no official transcript, no dramatic fallout on, or at least so far, not so far. What we do know is that the agenda is heavy: Ukraine, NATO sanction, and the question of whether a ceasefire can even be reached. Trump has hinted he wants resort fast. He's the kind of negotiator who likes to set deadline and threaten to work. Putin, on the other hand, is almost the playing the long game, stretching conversation until it's the other side bed. Two very different styles crashing in one room. So far right now, the world is watching, waiting for the first statement, waiting for the one photo that tells us more than word, waiting for the gossip to spill. We can only hope that they are both excellent communicators, because in a room like this, words matter as much as weapons. The way a sentence is framed, the way a promise is phrased, those tiny details rip out to millions of people across border. Trump come in trained by decades of boardrooms and television, a man who knows how to sell a deal, how to work the crowd. Putin come in with decades of intelligence and statecraft, a man who has built his entire career on careful wording and controlled delivery. Two very different schools of communication, but both shared to the point. And make no mistake, the world is on their side at this moment. Not in the sense of cheering one flag or the others, but in the sense that billions of people are counting on their ability to talk instead of fight. These are our great leaders carrying the weight of choice that could shift history overnight. To us is gossip. To them is geopolitics at the highest level. So tonight we wait. We wait to see if the training, the experience, and the sheer force of will that they both carry into that room can translate into something more than headlines. Something that history would look back and say, yes, this matter. Yes, this changed the course. Until then, we just here on the outside, monkey in shoes, watching the silence between words and wondering what comes next. And that's enough for today international gossip. My name is Nhi and I'm looking for a boyfriend. You gotta be as cute as Putin.